Yeah, we're out here with the tech up here.
It was quite the hike today. Sorry about that.
It's been worth it. I mean,
it's been awesome. It's been a great hike.
Yeah, there's a couple points I was cussing you, but
it's like we kind of have this thing where Chase figures out a lot of our events for like a lot of our activities for our events, like our retreats and stuff, and he usually picks out like these hikes that he's like, yeah, it's just like a mile. It's only a mile hike, and by the time you get into it, not only is it a mile distance, but it's more like 2 miles distance plus a mile of elevation. And so we're always giving Chase a hard time for like how hard the hikes are that he picks. So today, of course, I picked the hike today, and we get like a quarter of the way up, and he's like, who's the one that should be complaining about the hikes we're on? Because we're not even close to that point you said you were going to.
It's like every time you think you're almost there.
Like, it looks like it's just a mile. I think I just clocked us. We're closer to 2 miles now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that doesn't account for the elevation gain, which is significant.
It's significant. That had to be. That's at least 1,000.
Oh, at least we could track it probably, but
anyway.
It's at least 1,000.
Yeah, it's been awesome though. It's been beautiful getting out here. I've never been up to this spot before, and it's funny. I can see one of the spots that we normally go to, and it looks puny.
It's minuscule.
Yeah,
that's a 2 miler right there.
Yeah, there to there. There's 2 miles.
And that's 4 ridges over.
No,
we're not playing. No. Okay. We're off to a good start today.
Yeah. Speaking of good start, there was a really diligent mindfulness student that asked his teacher, how long will it take me to reach enlightenment? And the teacher said, 10 years. And the student said, what if I double my efforts? And he said, 20.
All right.
There you go.
Different perspective.
Yeah. Slow it down, homie. How do they start the mindfulness Olympics? Ready, set, stop.
That's dumb.
All right. The point is, you've been talking a lot about mindfulness lately for whatever reason.
Yeah.
There's a lot of DBT stuff going on around these parts.
We've been teaching DBT in our company meetings lately.
Yeah, and I'm kind of taking jabs at you, but it's been, I think, been really useful for me to slow down and think differently about my approaches. Yesterday we had a pretty cool meeting, went over high level some relationship skills. Is that what you'd classify them as? And I thought maybe that would be something we could talk about a little bit, and then if we have time towards the tail end, I'd love to I don't know if debate is the right word, but prove to you how wrong you are. I don't know. Maybe no, I'm just kidding. About agency and mindfulness. I just have had some thoughts that I'd love to share and see.
Cool.
Kind of how they check in with you. But so the relationship skills that we learned about, and this is something you've learned years ago, right?
Yeah,
this was like early on.
I was taught the DBT stuff back when I was working for the drug courts of southeastern Idaho more than a decade ago.
And DBT is
Dialectical Behavioral Therapy.
And
it's basically an offshoot of CBT. I think it's way better than CBT. No, but really it is. It just is. But since we're talking in facts and judgments today. So basically it was, DBT was founded by Marsha Linehan, who developed it specifically for people who had the diagnosis of borderline personality disorder. And what happens with a person with borderline personality disorder is they have kind of some key sort of symptoms. One is that they have a really difficult time managing their emotions. they have a harder time coming back to baseline after they become flooded with emotions. So if I get upset and I have a hard day, but then I'm able to manage, I bring myself back down. A person with borderline personality disorder has a hard day, they don't bring themselves down, and then the next thing happens and they elevate. And so eventually they're living in like really hard places emotionally, and then that leads to poor decisions, self-harm, addictions, all sorts of acting out, and then it also they have a really difficult time maintaining relationships. So DBT came up with this idea, let's start with mindfulness. Mindfulness is like the base, and then we'll build skills around this mindfulness for crisis survival, for emotion regulation, and then for dealing with people, relationships. So there's a bunch of skill sets under each one of those categories, and the thing I like about DBT is you can tangibly teach a skill that's practical and usable and practicable in group or in a session to train for. So theoretically, if you develop all of the skills and you have the toolbox, then you can have what they call as a life worth living, which is I can handle anything that comes my way. Right.
And is this for anybody?
Yeah, I mean, it was developed for borderline personality disorder originally, but there's been a lot of success in the addiction world. If you look at like a lot of what mental health is a lot of mental health problems. What do you see? People can't regulate emotions. People can't handle crisis. People aren't living mindfully, and they have a hard time with relationships. So the skills, they kind of just generalize to a happy life, right? you know. Okay.
So I'd love to just go over the relational skills that we talked about yesterday, and I'm going to give it my best to remember the acronyms and the use case for each one. This is kind of like pop quiz, but for my own self. So the way that we had it explained was, it's a triangle. You have 3 different points, 3 different purposes. What
priorities?
What are you trying to accomplish? And so the first thing you do is prioritize, figure out which thing you're trying to do, and then once you get to that place, you're able to use whatever that skill is that's related to that purpose.
Yep, that's right.
So what I remember, objective.
Yeah, so there's three main priorities for how we interact with people. So the 3, you're going to list off the 3 priorities right now.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm. So you have an objective, so there's something you're trying to accomplish.
You want to do something or get something.
In a relationship. Mm-hmm. Self-respect, so you're trying to maintain self-respect. And then the last one is you're actually trying to strengthen or further the relationship with somebody. Mm-hmm. Okay. So for each of those, respectively, there's DEARMAN.
DEARMAN is
for the objective.
If I'm trying to get something. Mm-hmm.
There is the FAST skill for self-respect.
That's right.
And then there's GIVE for the relationship.
For building relationships.
So, and maybe instead of me trying to...
You're doing great.
Okay.
Yeah. This is good. You actually listened yesterday. That's freaking awesome.
Well, yeah. Hey. Big surprise, right?
Exactly.
I'm not just over there cracking jokes like some idiot. Playing my harmonica at random. So, DEARMAN is describe... And I'm just going to say what they are, and then maybe we can
talk about the essence of them. Sure. Yeah.
So, describe... express, assert, reinforce, be mindful, appear confident. That's funny. That one got me. Damn it. And then negotiate. Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So kind of walk me through, if you don't mind. Like, let's say the situation is that I've got let's go with the simple one of I'm trying to get a raise.
Yeah, you're trying to get a raise.
I'm trying to get a raise.
Mm-hmm. You come to the boss and you're going to use the DEARMAN skill. The objective now, the priority is to get the objective of getting a raise. So even though you still want to have a good relationship with your boss and you still want to keep your self-respect, those things kind of become the secondary skills to the fact that in this meeting, my goal is to get a raise. I'm going to step into that conversation and I'm going to describe why I'm there and express kind of what I want to have happen there and why I'm there, right? My intentions. And then I'm going to be assertive with what I want and reinforce the person I'm talking to. And there's ways to reinforce where you help them to see why it benefits them to also play the game that you're playing with them for the negotiation, so to speak, right? So you help them understand how grateful you are for who they are and what they've done for you and how they run their business, and also what you're going to be giving to them, or what you're already giving to them that helps them like go, yeah, you're right, like that's a great objective to go towards, right? Be mindful, which means stay present there. Don't get distracted into other discussions. Appear confident is a hard one for people, but that's about body language and posture and tone of voice. And the more that it's practiced, it's just like a skill like anything else. It can be developed with more confidence, but you're more likely to get your objective if you show up confidently. And then the last one is negotiation, which means think win-win. Like think multiple options towards the same objective. So be creative, be willing to look at how you might be able to help somebody else with their objective while you get your own. You're more likely to be successful when you do that.
Okay, cool. Have you used that one recently?
Have I used, I think
Did you DEARMAN anybody?
Yeah, I mean that's day to day, right? I do that a lot. I go in there like, I actually did this with, so there's some land that I want to hunt. And I went out there to try to go access it. It's public land, but it closes off on a certain date of the year to kind of prevent the dirt roads from getting chewed up and stuff. And next to it, there's like a parking lot there. And it's on like what my map shows was private land. And so I was like, well, I want to park here so I can hike there, right? But I didn't know who to contact, because I'm like, it looks like a public parking lot, but it's showing that it's on private land. So I started calling people. I started calling the Fish and Game. I called Fish and Game first, and the phone call sounded just like this. This is the DEARMAN skill. Hey, thanks so much for taking my call. Like, you guys are awesome. I love what you guys do, and I hope you can help me. I'm hoping you're the one I can talk to help me, right? Because what I'm now doing is I'm being grateful and I'm trying to elicit the response like, of course I want to be the one to help you, like, so yeah, I hope you guys are the one to help me. If not, like, just steer me in the right direction. But I'm really wanting to access this land. I want to park at this parcel. Like, what can you tell me? Fish and Game's like, that's not our jurisdiction, but here's the sheriff's number. Like, in fact, I'll just patch you into the sheriff. You can just talk straight to the sheriff. So I call the sheriffs, I patch into the sheriffs, and same thing. I'm not sure you guys are the ones. I'm really hoping you're the ones that can help me with this info. Sheriffs like look at it and they're like, we don't know. Like, you can talk to a deputy. So they patch me into a deputy, and the deputy's like, that's not me. Like, that's not us. Like, you should call the Forest Service. Oh, here's their number. So I finally called the Forest Service, same thing. And the lady there was so nice. She was so awesome. And she listens to me and she's like, at that spot? And I said, yeah, there's like some signs posted that say it looks public, but it says it's private. Like, and she sat there and she's like, you can absolutely park there. You can. I'm like, are you sure? Like, she's like, you can absolutely park there. So I like took that as like fact.
Anything for you, sweetie.
I'm not going to go ask any other questions. I'm not calling the landowner. I got a yes. I'll funnel it back when I'm getting my trespassing ticket. I'll funnel it back to the Forest Service, So,
but she said she has nothing to do with this.
So that was like the reinforcement and the express and asking part of it. There wasn't nearly a lot of negotiation that was done there.
Yeah, all right.
But it didn't need to be done because it was, in other places there is some negotiation that needs to happen.
Well, okay, so let me ask you. How much of that is butt kissing versus being authentic?
Well, I was genuinely being kind.
Yeah.
I sit and I think about like, what if I was doing that job in reverse?
Yeah.
What do you usually get in those jobs?
Hey,
I got a complaint.
Yeah.
Like somebody's trespassing on my land, or hey, there's I need to disturb, something. I need to, report something. And so I was just thinking, if I'm answering that call, it would be really nice to be the one to go like, oh, I get like a 2-minute break with someone who's nice right now. Of course I want to help them.
Yeah.
And it works in everything. Like it works with everybody.
It does.
Especially if it's genuine.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I was just thinking, maybe some stories I probably shouldn't share publicly.
Yeah.
So I'll hold those off. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So next, twist the triangle. Let's say it's self-respect.
The new priority is self-respect.
The new priority is self-respect. So the other two take the back seat, kind of. And it's the fast skill. And I actually can't remember the first two letters, but I do remember the last two.
Okay. So fast is about keeping self-respect. First one is to remember to be fair to yourself and others. So you're being fair, and this is the key, to both, like you're equals. Yeah. So you're not better than somebody, you're also not going to treat yourself as worse than somebody in the interaction. So we're equals while we're talking, and I have to remember that when I'm going into the skill. I want to be fair to you. I don't want to like, Chase, you're such a jackass, or, oh my gosh, Chase, I'm sorry, I shouldn't be talking to you. It's just, we're equals. Second one is to apologize less, and people get confused on this one a lot, but apologizing less is about actually taking ownership for what you actually can, and then letting go of the stuff that you can't actually own. Because if you own stuff that's not yours, number one, you're actually probably doing that in order to manipulate somebody else's feelings to avoid conflict or something. And you're also preventing the other person from actually being the one to grow or learn by owning their part of something. It's kind of a way of playing small for a lot of people too. So, and then you got the last two, which
Stick to your values. So, I mean, that one's kind of straightforward.
Yep.
Don't vary from what your actual values are.
And you want to know what those are when you're going into the conversation, so you can fall back on those over and over again.
And then the last one is tell the truth.
Be truthful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So with any of those, I mean, that's basically a scenario where maybe somebody has given you some grief.
Maybe.
Or, like, when would you have used?
You would use that one anytime it's a boundaries kind of a skill. Anytime somebody steps over your values and you have to kind of set boundaries, then you're going to use a fast skill to kind of protect those values but you're going to do it in a kind way that's not dramatic.
Right.
You're going to do it when you need to have like a conversation with somebody about like, somebody calls up and is like, hey, you want to watch my kids? And you don't mind helping out once in a while, but this is like the fourth time they've asked in 4 days, and one of their kids is like a snot-nosed little punk. You don't want to watch them. And you're like, oh, we would love to, but we got all sorts of family stuff on tonight, and then we have practice, and then we're probably going to be going to game night or something. Meanwhile, your whole plan for the night is like hide behind the front door and turn on the TV, right? Like, you just lied. And the skill says, because you just lied, you've already gone against your own values, which means you're eroding your self-respect. So instead, and there's lots of ways to be honest with this, but you can just say, yeah, we don't have the energy for it tonight. Or, you know what, that's not going to work for us tonight. Or, if I really love you, you know what, like we've watched your kids the last 3 nights, we're kind of burned out. And if I'm being honest, like, I don't think I can take your son today. We need a couple days to rest up, and then we're happy to help again, right? Like,
I'm trying to think if we've ever had you guys watch our kids 4 days in a row now.
You're like, is that us?
Sitting a little too close to home.
Not at all. We don't watch your kids hardly at all. Like, we could probably stand and watch your kids more.
Hey, you said it, not me.
Yeah,
look out for some phone calls.
We love your kids. We love your kids. So that would be another time when you would use a fast skill, and that telling the truth part, like, it seems so simple to just, for some reason, we feel like we feel better about ourselves by letting ourselves and the other person down easy with a lie than just the truth. It's like, you know, like if I want to cancel my appointments today because I'm just like, I'd rather stay up here, I can like hurry and like either the best thing for me is to call our secretary and then have them do all the dirty work. Hey, guy, I'm sick. Like, you got to call in sick today. And then they call like, hey, Tyler's sick. Can we please reschedule? Why did I have to say I was sick? Why don't I just call and say, man, like, I need a mental health day and I need to cancel my appointments because I need a mental health day and I need to spend some more time in nature right now. And then the secretary calls and says, hey, Tyler is like, says he needs a mental health day. He needs to see if you'll reschedule or cancel. Are the clients going to maybe be a little pissed at me? And would it be easier if I was sick? And they're like, oh, I hope he feels better. But what did I do to trust in the relationship? Especially if today, like they happen to be hiking out here and they're like, were you sick?
You look fine.
Like, why are you 4 miles off the road? Like, I thought you were sick. Now I've really eroded trust.
Yeah, right.
Not to mention that I let go of my own self-respect.
Yeah, right.
So anyway, that's a fast skill. That's a fast skill.
Okay. So last objective would be the relationship building skill, and this is the give skill. And I don't remember jack about the give skill. I started off strong, shooting 50-50.
The give skill might be the most important one for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, maybe
obviously not for you.
I'm trying to maintain
So you're going to have some self-respect no matter what, and you're definitely going to get what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
You remember that one.
My relationships will be crap. But
so you're going to really consume people.
Yeah.
So the give skill is about maintaining relationships, and it's the first one is to remember to be gentle in relationships, which means that if you actually want to be productive in the relationship, you treat it like it matters. So you don't mistreat people, you don't start with drama, you don't start with harsh comments, you don't start with criticisms right off the bat. You use soften startup, and you use I statements, and you use kind of more gentle communication, and that also invites people into your space more. The I is to be interested, to actually show interest in the other person. So instead of just kind of like looking at your phone or like looking off into space, like while the person's talking, you're actually making eye contact, you're showing some active listening, restating, that kind of stuff, and then really taking a genuine interest in them and their perspective. V is validation, and validation is not agreeing with somebody. Validation is letting the person know that they're understood and that they're seen and that their perspective is valuable. And so being able to validate whatever that perspective is that they're sharing with you. And then the E is to keep an easy manner, which means body language, open posture, soft muscles in your face, keep your breathing going. You're actually inviting more conversation connection with an easy manner. Whereas if you're closed off or turned away, you're actually inviting less connection. So that's the fast version of that.
Man, I guess.
Yeah.
Fast and dirty. So what's a recent, I mean, it doesn't have to be recent. What's a prime example of you doing the give skill?
Every day in my office there's give skill going on.
You're just like the DBT master sensei over here.
No. But I have found a lot of value in the DBT skills for myself personally. Actually, I use them a lot. But yeah, no, like I think in the give, like to be a good therapist, you have to have some level of trust with the person you're trying to help before you can push on them. And so the give skill is really important, especially early on in the therapeutic process, to really have people see that you care about them, that you're genuinely trying to understand them. And as you grow in trust, it actually allows you to do some pushing and some things for change that otherwise wouldn't be able to happen if they didn't feel understood and feel valued, you know.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And so it really is important to do that on a daily basis. I try to do it with my kids every day, with my wife, in the way we talk to each other every day on some level. Not always perfect at it, but yeah, to me the give skill, all of these skills are daily kinds of skills.
And you don't think about them necessarily in sequential or like, now at first I'm going to be gentle, and then I'm going to show some interest.
I think at first that's the way you learn them.
Yeah.
But really each one of those letters, they're all acronyms, right? Each one of those letters is its own skill.
Yeah.
So like with the DEARMAN, I frequently am, as I did with the Forest Service people and everybody else, it's like I'm reinforcing before I'm even like moving into like, hey, here's what I need. Right? I just found that to be effective when you call people on the phone. Do the reinforcement first with a simple, I'm so glad you took my call. Like, I'm so grateful you're here. Like, who's gonna want to be like, sorry, can't help you? If you're like, man, like, I'm so appreciative to you for being here to answer my call. Like, reinforce it first, and then you start asking for what you want. And by the time you start asking, they're already like, I want to help this dude. Like, first nice person I've had in like 3 days. So anyway, they don't have to be done in order per se. It's more that each one is its own skill too.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So,
man.
Yeah.
Well, it makes me feel like I'm doing pretty good in life.
I think you're doing great, dude.
Yeah.
You're getting a lot of what you want.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Joking aside, like you were saying, each one of those has its sub skill, right? And I don't necessarily think about it in those terms all the time, but I do think I'm kind of hitting aiming for those general areas whenever I am working in those modes.
Yeah. So that's what I like about DBT, is that it puts language to principles and things that you're already like, oh yeah,
kind of common sense.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. So now it's like I'm reinforcing. I do that naturally, but now because I have the language, I feel skillful, which then also makes me feel more confident and confident. Yeah. Right? Even though I was doing the same thing anyway. Right? So many of the skills are that way in DBT. They're so practical and simple, but because there's a language to them, it sticks with you, and it also then helps you go, oh yeah, I already have some of these skills already built. Right? That makes sense.